Hello, hello, hello. We're live. So this is after the Corvette Expo. We spent 2 days over there at the Corvette Expo. And I vlogged the inside. I'll have, also it was the Chevelle show as well. And they had them both at the same time. I only saw one Chevelle outside. When you pay to get in, you are able to see the cars on the outside, the Corvettes, and then see the cars on the inside. So we went and he had his booth, and then we had he talked to a lot of people, so he was encouraged with that. And I went and did a live stream earlier just to show the cars on the outside, and then on the inside I vlogged it because of the music. There's a lot of music going on, and so it gets real loud. I did a 10-minute, 9-minute or whatever live stream with him the other day at his booth just to show everybody a quick pop-up of his booth while the music wasn't on. But then crazy thing was the announcer came on and his microphone was hugely loud. So I've learned now that we're going to need one of those microphones that is like a Bluetooth, a wireless microphone. We're going to need one of that. He's reading a book.
I'm, yes, looking for things that are entertaining for us to talk about.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Evelyn. Lisa just had a birthday, by the way, everyone. So happy birthday, Lisa. Still, it's your birthday.
Happy birthday.
It's your birthday month. It's your birthday month. And my mom's birthday's coming up here pretty soon, too. Her birthday is on the 25th. So then my birthday is a week after hers. So anyway, so I was editing while I was in the booth. I stayed with him most of the time.
Yep.
But then I went around and vlogged a little bit, and I was doing it with hi Ed. Yeah, everything's going good. So I'm going to put together probably several videos come out, and if people don't like the cars, then don't subscribe. Just skip the car videos. Just skip the car videos, because Donny and I love vintage car shows, especially. Hi Mason, how are you? I should get my other phone out so that I can see. And we like the rod run type things with the vintage car shows and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, I really loved the vintage Corvettes, the ones that were from like the 1950s and 1960s. Boy, are they beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. So I'm gonna have to get on here, turn my sound down, and now I started to get the hang of it on knowing which ones were like from the 50s or the 60s, because they had this certain kind of look to them, and it was like 50. Did it start in 52 or 53 or something like that?
53.
And then even in 1959 and even in 1960, 61, and 62, I think they had the same look to them. But I mean, they might be painted a little bit different or something. But and then in I think it was 63 and 64, somebody was telling me today when I was doing my live stream, there was a certain kind of a fan thing on the side, and it looked a certain way, and he goes, that was the design in, like, I think he said 63 and 64. So I thought, okay, I'll learn a little something about these vintage Corvettes. So that was fun. And then I like those vintage ones better than the modern ones. But I mean, some of the modern ones, if they have curves, I had just have something with curves in a car. The curves on a car better than like, you know, boxy.
That's why men are good designers of cars. We know how to draw curves. Mm. Mm.
Okay.
So it was fun. A great experience of 2 days. Last night on my live stream, I fell asleep. My brain just literally checked out while my mouth was still moving. I can't wait to see that replay. It's just been a lot of hours and not a lot of sleep getting ready for two things at once, because all of a sudden I was getting ready for not mine, but just mine and paintings, and touching up paintings, and copies didn't come out. Then I had to touch up the copies that didn't come out and make the copies come out. And then those copies did not go well. So that made on the weekend, we have a painting from me from
one of our viewers.
But and the company I work for, you know, they paid for this weekend. They probably won't pay for the next one, but they paid for the first one, and I appreciate that. And they even paid for it when they didn't recommend that it would be a car show. There really won't be a lot of business at a car show, they thought, but they do sell a car version of their product.
Which then, you know, we had a chance to promote with the people that came through. I tell you,
this is kind of like being a plumber. You're not very busy until pipes break. and I feel like, you know, with this product being so good and proven against any kind of virus, that if there's another uptick in the virus, I will be busy and I will be
and somebody that came by the table, by the booth, actually told him,
talked about the one in Europe,
that there's a variant in Europe right now, another variant,
COVID-2 they call
another
it,
thing. Anyway,
and it's
don't
lasting
say that word.
longer.
It's lasting
another
longer. CV version 2 or whatever going on.
It's not dying on surfaces like the first one did.
So that just makes us feel all the better, you know, about having these machines and letting people know about them, because I just for me, I just had a feeling like all that stuff was kind of like a health storm or something that is not wanting to end, you know, and so I just felt like this machine is kind of like insurance, and I really like the idea of having the mobile one that you could go on vacations. Anyone that goes on cruises, anyone that goes to hotels, anyone that just wants to have the safety in their car after you go into the store and then you bring your stuff out to the car. Mm-hmm. It's literally cleaning in your car.
And it retails for $200, but for any of our YouTube friends, we'll do it just for $150 plus shipping.
So.
Well, I want to tell you.
Hey, Roy and Becky's Travels and Rhonda Skipper.
You read a few names.
Yeah. And Carrie. Hi, Carrie and Bill. Go ahead. You wanted to.
Okay, so I got a quick a lesson learned from a friend of mine. And he is a longtime friend from back in the 90s. He's a college professor, a book writer. He travels the world. And yet the simplest thing is something that he'll write about. So he wrote about a lesson learned about getting granite countertops. He said, we had granite countertops installed. My wife asked whether or not she should use the countertop for preparing meats and vegetables. The installer's response was that he suggested a cutting board to save the knife. The installer's response was suggesting that a cutting board is to save the knife's edge. His answer surprised my wife because her question was not about protecting the countertop, was about protecting the countertop, not the knives. But he reminded her that he had just put in her kitchen, what he had just put in her kitchen was a piece of rock. So the lesson learned, in a Christian point of view, is Jesus is our rock. So we often misinterpret the situation when the enemy comes at us with his sharp weapons. they get dulled. Weapons get dulled when they hit a rock. After allowing 3 or 4 years of roots so Jesus is our rock. Don't be worried about the weapons formed against you. They go dull and they won't work. Second lesson. After allowing 3 or 4 years for the roots of a stump in my yard to rot, from a tree that I had cut down before, and waiting for these roots to decay to make it easier to dig up the trunk, I began to assault with a shovel and a sledgehammer this old stump. However, there was one particularly formidable root in that stump that I was continuing to avoid. I considered this stump just too daunting and formidable, and I continued to avoid it. Eventually, though, I could no longer. I had already removed the other stumps, and this was the last one. So I took what I thought would be one of many blows against this stump, and to my amazement, the initial blow shattered the stump into a dozen pieces, and I quickly dispatched with the rest of it. The lesson I learned: the bigger they are, the harder they fall, can be rephrased to the more intimidating they are, the more deceptive they are, the more the truth will shatter them to pieces. The same is true in areas of our life. Seemingly insurmountable challenges are generally only exaggerations and are no more difficult to deal with than any other ordinary care of life. We must remember that we are carrying a really big hammer.
Okay. Must have lost signal there for a second. Hopefully we're back.
Yep, we're back.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know.
It's freezing.
I think I mean we're good. Are we good?
Or are we
Frozen.
well, it's not frozen, it's just not working right.
Okay.
Is there things I should take offline here?
No, this isn't online. This is on the regular cell service. So hopefully it's good. Oh, Rhonda, if your name is in red, highlighted, it means that somebody tagged your name and said hello to you. That's all it means. So somebody is saying hello, Rhonda. Oh, hi, Nisi. How are you? I think she said she was cooking.
Oh. Is Montana warming up yet?
I don't think Montana's warming up yet. I think Montana is kind of cold. We were going to go. He did not think he could fit me in the vehicle because he literally had to make 2 trips to take the stuff over there to the booth.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I keep thinking I left something behind, but you're here.
Yeah. And so he said he couldn't fit me and all the stuff in. So I was going to have to stay behind. And, and then he just played. He said he was playing Tetris with all the stuff and trying to get it all pieced in there, until he could get.
I got it in.
Until he could get it in.
We got it in.
We did
we
take
put the chair on the roof.
We put the chair on the roof and he tied it with a cord or something on the roof, and then we took one of the easels apart and stuck it in pieces in there, and then I was able to fit in the front seat by then.
Yeah. Yeah, I made room at the inn for the wife.
Because we were going to go to, I was just going to walk on over to the island and then wait there for him and then do the live stream, but he literally did not have time. He just didn't have time. By the time he was fitting everything in and then he was fitting me in, we just had time to get home.
trying to find page 2 of that one.
He's gonna.
I'm just leafing through my notes and things. And I've been
Poetry?
so busy with so many things, we did not get a chance to really plan tonight the way we like to and have it, go a good way.
So one ringy dingy is makes these Cabbage Patch dolls, and or she redoes. She doesn't make the doll, but if you have an old Cabbage Patch doll, or you know someone that has an old Cabbage Patch doll, freehandly made. Did I say? I think I said one ringy dingy. I meant
dingy, yeah. I was
not one
thinking it
ringy
was
dingy.
handly made.
I looked at her. I looked at her chat comment and called her a net. It's not one ringy. It's freehandly made.
Yep. She
restores Cabbage Patch dolls, and she fixes the hair, and she'll even fix the stitching on the doll itself, and I think she can make it little outfits and things like that. So if you know anybody that has a collectible Cabbage Patch doll, and they need it to be freshened up and prettied up, she does a beautiful job. She's in the comments, freehandly made. And go ahead and leave the link to your channel, Nisi, and then if anybody is not familiar with you, they can click on you and they can go look at the Cabbage Patch dolls that you've restored and stuff. She lives in Montana, so she doesn't have a long time for gardening and things like that in Montana. So she does crafts. She started crocheting and doing crafts. You ready to share something?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty steep though.
I thought it was a little cold and windy out, and it was a long day for the 2 days. We were over there 2 days at the booth. So I just thought, and I walked around and I vlogged it all. So I just thought that would be more walking around on my feet. Freehandly made, Nisi said, the one I'm working on now is being given away for my 1K celebration. It's being customized to represent myself and my channel. And she just posted a link. So if you want a chance to win because she had hit her 1K, and congratulations, Nisi, on that too. I congratulated her in her comments before, but publicly, congratulations. She's got the link to her channel there. So if you're interested in winning a Cabbage Patch doll, she's actually customizing one and making one to give away for her channel.
Backlight. There's something you didn't know about. We actually tried years ago, and we started a ministry, and we were trying to think of what to call it. And one of the people that we knew, we ended up calling it Back on Track Ministries. And it was just our first try of what we thought God was telling us to do, or I thought I was, and of course I was way off track. But one of the people that we did that we went to church, and I did a storytelling night there. The pastor prophesied over me and said, "You have a gift of a backlight ministry." He said, "When you're all watching television, everyone looks flat unless there's a backlight. And so when I turn this light on over my head, I can see it helps us a little bit with the depth because it's providing a light from behind us to reflect on the tops of our heads and the sides of our faces to show more depth." And that reminded me of that guy that said that. He says, you're like a backlight ministry. You add depth and you add feeling and story to just take a flat scripture, and all of a sudden you turn it into something that has depth and meaning and reflection, like you've put another, you've shined a light from a new direction on it and given it a three-dimensional presence. Well, that really blessed me when he did that.
Hi, Angela. How are you doing? Yeah, I just felt like it would be too cold and too long of a day of being, you know, up and walking around.
You'd have done it, though.
I would have done it.
I couldn't have got you in the car.
I would have done it. If he couldn't have got me in the car, I would have done it.
I was about to throw her in the back like a sack of potatoes.
He did. He had this space, like about that wide, between the tables for his booth and the boxes. And he's like, do you want to try to squeeze in there and
yeah,
lay in there?
That.
He goes, you can like squeeze in. I go, you want me to crawl? You want me to crawl in there and lay down?
No. She was thinking about it, though.
I was thinking about it because I was like, I don't know if I want to walk around another hour.
Go home. And I would have had a hard time getting back here, switching cars and going back and getting her in time.
Thanks,
and finding her.
for sharing us out. Yeah, he would have had to. He would have had to watch. I would have had to start the live stream, and he would have had to try to find me.
Yeah, it would have been tough. I don't think I'd have made it back. But a good thing happened as I snap a piece off my glasses.
You didn't break them, did you?
No, they're fine. They're fine. They were hurting. You know how you lose that little pad and then it starts digging into your nose and you kind of try to bend it so that it doesn't hurt your nose? Well, I bent it back and forth enough where it finally snapped off, and now I feel fine. Just putting a hole in my nostril.
You must be leaning. He's leaning forward because usually he sits taller than me, and I look like I'm taller than him. He doesn't like that when he sees that.
I'm slouching. Huh?
He's slouching. 'Cause he doesn't like that when I look. He doesn't like it if I'm standing on a stub or something and I look taller than him. Here's the thing with that.
I'm intimidated. I don't like that. You know. And I give kudos to the men with taller wives that it doesn't bother them. They don't have an issue with that. I know two pastors that are like that, and
they're short.
They have wonderful
pastors
wives.
are shorter than their wives.
Yeah, they just love them. They just love them. Yep.
Okay, you going? You got something there?
All right. I don't know whether to do ministry. I have to read this one first before I say it. Okay, so this one is called Death Glorified. A fighter plane as it streaks the sky, a bomber's vapor as it soars up high, are works of art I don't deny, but only through death are they glorified. Going down for all it's worth, a fighter plane impacts the earth. The metal enfolds its pilot like a coffin. Control is lost. A bomber's tail is blown clean away. Its control is lost. It starts to sway. But the loss of life, a loss of plane, not life, we count too often. Because as you remember in those stories, you know, it's like they send out 5 planes and only 3 come back. Well, each plane had 10 men on board, you know, but they only count the plane. So proud of these machines that fly, we forget in them that men did die. By paint and polish we surely try to brighten the museum of death glorified. There was once a war that was finally run through the death on a cross by God's only Son. Though we sing weekly praises to the Holy One, we've lost track of the man, but not the cross he was on. So often forgotten, these things that aren't seen. We know his birth and his death, but what's in between? The stable and Mary, the cross and the stone, these symbols are family, but the man stands alone. The cross is the lighthouse. Each person looks on it, some gold and some wood, crosses, some with Jesus still on it. Through tributes and honor, we show his death glorified, but it's not the cross or the grave that brings the lost to his side. Neither history nor photos nor lectures provide, but it's you telling them it's for they that he died. It brings a new meaning to the price that was paid for the gaining of freedom with lives that were laid. The stories within you are the best place to start, so get Christ off the cross and in to each heart.
I was gonna, we got to spend time with Will and Dawn and Michelle's Tasty Dishes and Mike, her husband, and One Ringy Dingy, and
of course Eddie Stedman,
cousin Eddie, and
Chris about t-shirts,
and Mindy. Yeah. So I was going to show you the picture. We had a picture. We went out to eat with them to Huck Finn's. First time I've ever been there. I vlogged it. Now, nobody else was vlogging, so Donnie and I were sitting across the table for each other. So I vlogged it, and but I didn't like put everybody in it. But I'll put the photo in it. But I didn't want to show them all since they were just eating.
Yeah, it wasn't the time for.
They weren't vlogging, so But anyway, here's the picture, and so. Yeah, so we got to eat at Huck Finn's, and it was Chris's first time there, he said, and it was Donnie and my first time there. I don't know, is that? I hope that's not blurry. I don't know if you can see it if it's in focus or not in focus, but anyway, that was fun. And then we sat around for outside of the restaurant on the porch for. It seemed like hours.
Another 2 hours. At least.
And Will always shares a lot of wisdom, and I always appreciate that. He was giving me tips and things, and he's been doing that for over a year. Every time I get around him and get
not
a chance.
That we're special. He'll
do that.
Is.
I mean, he'll do that
you
to
want
any
advice. Hang around him.
He'll do that to any YouTuber that. That gives him the time, because he really has a lot of good tips. And so it was very nice, and it was funny because he said he was saying that one of these days
I'm getting a difficult to see message.
Is it?
Sounds like you guys had a great time. Oh yeah, it was a great fellowship.
Maybe the picture was difficult to see.
Oh, you mean the photograph? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was blurry. I don't know if it'll show.
Oh, this picture looks good.
The picture that I shared. Okay. I don't know if it shows up. It looked a little blurry. Does it look blurry? Maybe it was too close. But anyway, this was the picture. So maybe it was too close to the and then it was blurry. So anyway, that was the picture. So I guess I can't hold it too close.
Yep.
But
you know, what's funny is that when you're with YouTubers, all YouTubers have a gift to gab. All YouTubers have a need to talk. That's why they're YouTubers, and it's part of the gift of being a YouTuber is that you're able to talk and talk and talk. And it was interesting how even the group of us broke into little smaller groups, because if in a big group only one person can talk at a time, but more people needed to talk than that, so they split into smaller groups, and then the groups would change people. You know, there'd be 2 over here, 3 over there, and then someone would move to a different group, and so it was quite interesting, because I'm kind of like outside the whole ring of it, seeing how everybody talks and everything that's going on. And of course, I'm listening to Will and all of his advice, and some of Eddie's stories, of course, and the crazy things he's done. It was fun.
Hi, Ashley. Yeah, and so Will was started laughing, and he said because people come here and look for his little yellow bug, and then if they see a yellow bug, they'll follow it. Jeep.
Jeep.
He's got a little yellow Jeep. And so he said people will sometimes follow the little yellow Jeeps. And believe me, there's a lot of yellow Jeeps in the area. So if you see a yellow Jeep, it doesn't mean that it's them, because there's a lot of them around here. But they do get followed from viewers, you know. And so he was saying the other day when we were outside talking, he said, one of these days I'm going to take Joy's little yellow bug, and I'm going to drive that around, and then her car,
vlog from there,
and vlog from there, and then her little yellow bug will get followed. And
they can follow her around.
That made me laugh.
Yeah.
That would be so funny.
Yeah, we closed that place down. Waiters were walking out, waitresses were walking out. Finally, the management walked out, and I got to talk to the manager a little bit, just tell him how good it was. And yeah, we vlogged it because they have a real special sauce called Nashville Hot. So if you go to that catfish, Huck Finn's Catfish, you at least want to get a little side cup of Nashville Hot. Whatever you order, you want to check it out, because I've never had anything like it. It was very, very good. It was a mixture, little bit of this, little bit of that. It was really good. So, and then another thing that happened too, that we want to give a shout out to a friend of ours by the name of Brandon. Our booth was right next to Cutco, and Cutco are those knives, you know, the once in a lifetime purchase knives, where you buy them once and you'll never need to buy them again, and they're guaranteed for life. And they've been around, you know, a lifetime, so they'll still be here through your lifetime, so it's worth it.
And he actually has one.
I have one Cutco knife.
And
it was a gift.
But you said something was...
Oh, I melted the handle, yeah. I melted the handle, got too close to the oven.
So Brandon said, if you package it up...
Box it up, mail it to them, they'll send you back a new handle.
They'll send you back a new one.
Yep. And so I might do that. And but anyway, these knives are very sharp, they're very unique, and they're very expensive. But they're not that expensive if you think about how many knives you buy, and how many knives you lose, and how many knives, you know. And he did a lot of business that weekend. I mean, there were just people coming up, because he had, you know, $500, $1,000, $1,500, $2,500, and even a $3,000 set of knives. And one of the ladies that had bought the most expensive one years ago, she said, oh yes, I've still got it. And as a matter of fact, she was there buying a replacement for a knife that she had lost. And she said, oh yeah, I love them. As a matter of fact, they're still in good shape. They're so nice. I keep them in the case they came in. They're so beautiful. And she says, I use them on special occasions, and I take very good care of them. And I was thinking to myself, well, yeah, when I pay $1 or $2 for a knife, it probably gets lost or broken. But if I'm paying $100 for that knife, I'm going to make sure it's okay for life. And I thought, you know, maybe sometimes you have to buy something of value in order to value it. You know, and we could preach that, huh?
And Tara said that she has one Cutco knife too.
Mm.
Hi, Tara. Hi, Charlene Kane's mom.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, our spiritual daughter Safo, who lives in the Bahamas, she noticed in the pictures I had sent. She goes, "Oh, you're right next to the Cutco booth. That's really cool." She goes, "Those are great knives."
Yeah. People dream about buying those knives one day.
Well,
there was a couple there that says, we've been waiting for years to finally we'll go ahead and get a set of knives.
Well, and maybe you can't have a whole set of knives, but if you could get, you know, like Tara has one, he has one, you know, if you could get one knife and it really does the job for you, that can help you.
and you build it, you know, one person got the steak knives, just the steak knives, you know, because they already had the butcher knife set. So then they just added the steak knife set to it. And he did a really good job. As a matter of fact, he gave me some really good tips and training, because he's been doing these weekends for 5 years. And at first he just offered one little piece of advice to see if I'd be offended. But I took it. I was like, ooh. I went and grabbed my pen and wrote it down. As soon as I showed him that respect of writing it down, word for word what he said, because it made sense. Because he said you're you're trying to teach too much. You're not asking questions and getting them interested. Now you're telling them great things, but you're not causing their interest. And so you need to, and he just gave me some great advice. So I wrote that down. As soon as I wrote that down, then he was like, wow, thank you for writing that down. And then in about an hour later, he gave me some more advice on how to move the tables. He said, can I tell you something else? And I was like, oh, yes, I wanted to know. And because he'd already won me over, because he's a salesman. He asked the right questions. I gave him the answers. So, he said, really, you should have one table of product and one table of information, not product information, product information, product information. He said, if you do the table of products, they'll look at all the products, then they'll see the table of information and want to pick something up. But if you put it in machines, then, and he said, walk by, and that's the way over the edge of the table. He said, that makes people anxious. They wonder if it's going to fall. They wonder if it's going to fall while they're standing there, and they might be blamed. He didn't say that part. But I thought, yeah, you want to make so you let the table frame everything you do. Don't put anything at the edge. Really good advice. And Brandon from Cutco. And as a matter of fact, he has his own website for supplying the knives. And I don't think I got a card from him, and I couldn't tell you what it was. But
It's it was something about Chef Brandon. I don't know. I think it's chefbrandon.com or something like that.
oh, okay.
And hi, Loves. How are you? Loves is in the Philippines. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, here's the thing. He was a younger guy,
Yeah.
and so Donny was respecting him, even though he was a younger guy, that he could have a teachable moment for him, And
Mm-hmm.
I said, Donny was telling me, some things like when Brandon wasn't around, and I said, well, we went to Bible school. We were used to taking notes and learning
Being
and things
humble.
like
It's about
that.
being humble.
And still to this day, sometimes if we're listening to preaching or we're listening to some bit of information or a tip or something like that,
Yeah.
we will literally write it down, or sometimes I'll even text it to myself on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
or save it in my notes on my phone or something. We've both done stuff like that, just to have that, to be able to look back on it so we don't forget.
Right.
We won't forget it, because
we
while
will
you're in the
forget.
middle of it,
Oops, sorry.
while you're in the middle of it, you are you're thinking, okay, I'm going to
I'll
remember
that. Oh,
but
yeah. I can never
then,
forget that.
I mean,
I don't
10
remember.
minutes later, something else can attract your attention. And, the thing of people that are like, they're like easily distracted, and they'll go squirrel, and then they'll go off on over here, and stuff. I mean, it's kind of like that. You have to, that's why, if you respect something that somebody has said, it's a good idea to either play that back and listen to it if it's on a recording, or to sit there and take notes. We've had times when we listen to messages, or some educational thing, and then we went back and listened to it again later with a notepad and a pen, and
Yeah,
we took
courts of heaven.
notes. There's lots of things we did.
Mhm.
We took notes on like that.
And you know what? If you're in the habit of doing that, you'll also more likely hear from God. Because God's not going to waste his time always talking to you, never write it down, and you don't remember what he said. God is still speaking. He'll give you ideas, witty inventions, it says. And so don't feel like, even if it's a thought in your head that came from the Lord, write it down.
Tara said squirrel for me is so me. Squirrel is so me. Tara said the website is not chefbrandon.com. I heard him say that to somebody, something like that. Chef Brandon something. Maybe the Chef Brandon is on Instagram or something.
Mm.
That might be it.
That could be it.
Hi, Footprints in the Pine from Massachusetts. How are you? Church Hill, the
Yeah, and you
safest
can
town
tell.
in Tennessee. Huh, I've not heard of Church Hill. They're moving, Footprints in the Pine are moving to Church Hill.
Getting out of Massachusetts to Tennessee. Well, now there's a good move.
Yeah.
You know,
Not political, but
because when it comes to writing things down, taking advice, sometimes you get a good piece of advice. You think it's a great piece of advice, and or you get a great thought, but then a few minutes later, it's like, no, that wasn't right. It's kind of like when you run when you're driving and you pass a skunk, and it's a little while after you pass that skunk that all of a sudden you go, oh, skunk. It doesn't happen at that moment. It has to filter in. And you gotta roll the windows down. That's the way a lot of things are. You know, you think it's a great idea. Oh, that's great. And then a few minutes later, you're like, oh, skunk. You know, was that a skunk we just passed? Takes a minute. Then all of a sudden, yep, that was a skunk we passed. I just got reminded of that.
okay. Now this isn't the right Chef Brandon either on the Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different guy. But he said his wife says he's a chef. But his grandfather was a chef and taught him. His grandfather taught him how to use the knives, because when he first got the job, he did not know.
He knew the name
of
the knife.
And his grandfather said, "How do you use this knife?" And he said, "I don't know," because his grandfather was a chef. So he said his grandfather was the first person that he went to do a demo with. And when he went there, he said, "I knew my grandfather, there was no way he was going to buy anything from me. But," he said, "I went there to practice. And when I got there, my grandfather just taught me all these things about knives that I didn't know, because I had just gotten the job. I knew nothing about these knives." And he kept saying, "How do you use this knife? How do you use this knife? How do you use this knife?" And it was like, he's like, "I don't know. And then I don't know. I don't know." And he said, and he literally taught me how to use all these knives, you know, and I learned so much from him. So it was well worth that. You gonna share something?
Just a short little poem. I go to the place. I go to the place my brother died. I go to the place where my eyes have cried. I go to the last place his feet touched the ground. The last place where his eyes looked around. I go. I go. I don't have good memories of I don't have good memories of things that we did. We had some fun when we were young, just young kids. I go and I join the service. I went to the service and he went to school. Neither of us found the answers we were looking for. We were just a fool. I don't sense his presence here. I'd honor his memory, but there is no ear to hear. But I'll go. I'll go. That was somebody's poem from a funeral. Yeah.
It's good to be humble enough to be teachable, because teachable moments are really important.
And hard to find.
I was trying to go ahead and share something else. I was trying to see if I could find him on here, but I don't see anything.
Well, you know how we kind of write notes and we try to... this is a poem written to a member of the family. As your heart has begun to heal, from broken to made whole, you might catch a glimpse of something that you didn't see before. You might see the angels or warriors standing tall, sent by the fervent prayers of him who wasn't there at all. You felt the hand of Jesus when you thought he turned away. You got a hug from the Holy Spirit when there was nothing else to say. Oh, how I promise for all these years and to this day, though I do not know you, I will always pray. Forgiving brings a freedom, and you must say it now, but when you know how much I love you, then you will know how. Sometimes you have to show somebody that you did wrong how much you love them, and you do anything for them before they will be able to find the way to forgive you. But if you show them how much you love them, they will find the way to forgive you.
Tara said that I guess she looked up Church Hill, Tennessee. It's to the left of Kingsport, Tennessee. So that's not that far from here, then probably. Mrs. Virginia said, "Strange, you did the poem. Husband lost his brother suddenly this week." Oh, so hopefully that comforts you. And so sorry for your family loss and your husband's loss, Mrs.
Yes,
Virginia.
I can clean that up and send you a copy if you let me know where to send it.
I've got her email somewhere. She sent me something by email once. Let's see. Go ahead while I'm looking at this.
Yeah, I seem
Oh,
to be...
that's it. Tara shared a link.
That's him.
And that's him. Tara shared a link, and it was Cook with Brandon.
He definitely looks better braided.
Oh, yeah, he's got little braid dreads right now. But anyway, that was him right there. Cook with Brandon. It says Cook with Brandon. And so that's him. Young guy. And yeah, he was sharing a lot of information. It's called Elevate the Way You Cook. Cutco Brandon is here to help. So that's his information right there, if you want to look him up. All right, so thanks for finding that, Tara, and sharing that. Alicia said that's so sweet. Hi, Darian.
All right, so we've talked about forgiveness before, and we've talked about how to help people. And here's one called I'm Sorry. And it's more of an article about forgiveness that says one of the saddest things for I'd like an apology because they never really realized, that they needed what they had said, what they had done. Not that I was physically abused or anything, it was more of an emotional thing or an abandonment thing, but they did the best they could for their generation and for their situation. And in that fact, it says, so I can apologize for offenders. God wants you to move on badly, but he doesn't want you to move on without healing, which gets into my last two live streams about letting go of the past and how to let go of the past and how to be restored. So so what this person in this article says is saying, I'm truly sorry for everything and every person who has ever hurt you. And I'm sorry for every person that never showed up for you. I'm sorry for the racism you experienced. I'm sorry for the sexual abuse that you've experienced. I'm sorry for the verbal abuse, and sorry for all that left you. I'm sorry for those that let you go. I'm sorry they didn't choose you. I'm sorry that happened to you. I want you to invite God into this area. So if you will give your pain over to God, And your pain does not have to be a prison. Your pain has a purpose. And in managing it yourself, you'll be exhausted. I want you to allow God to free you from all the moments that you never received an apology. I want you to allow God to free you from the things that did you wrong, that went wrong, that never apologized. I want God to free you from all of the people that did you wrong and never apologized. And the only way he can do this, though, is for you to stop holding on. You see, you're holding on to this offense. You're holding on to this as a thing, as a marker in your life, saying things like, "Oh, I'll never do that. I'll never believe them again. I will never talk to them again." Well, you have put down a marker in your life that is holding you. It says here, you don't put down a marker. God wants to free you from the things that you have laid down and made a marker, holding on to that offense. And that offense, that pain is running you into its future. You're being directed into the future by the pain you're feeling now. Wow. Your unforgiveness, your whatever's going on in your life that you just can't seem to let go of is running you to its future. Not your future, but its future. One of the ways to become free from offense is by taking the initiative and become a type of person that that you want others to be for you. If you have been longing to be encouraged, then be someone who encourages. If you want to be appreciated, then go find someone who is unnoticed and unappreciated and appreciate them. If you've always, and it says, choose to encourage other, highlight small and wonderful details about them. Appreciate what others bring to the table. You know what this is like? This is like what we've always been telling you. Worship. We worship you, Lord, over this situation. We worship over this loss. We worship over this ex-husband. We worship over this child. We worship over this situation. We worship over our bank account.
Worship over the grief.
We worship over the grief. We stop allowing fences to put a wedge between us and others. We do our part to first notice them. You know, when your child says, "Oh, nothing," that's a wedge. It's something. Do your part. Notice them. Appreciate them. You could even say, "Oh, I don't want to talk about it," or "No, there's nothing wrong." Instead of saying, "No, really, what? Tell me what it is." Instead of saying that, you would say, "Well, I appreciate how you always open up to me, how you always are able to communicate with me, and I look forward to that." Now, they're not going to respond with, "Oh, okay, I'm going to bust out now," but you have encouraged them to do that instead of getting mad at them for keeping it. "Well, I don't want to talk to you anymore." Well, that's fine. I do appreciate that you've always talked to me and that you've always communicated with me. I'm looking forward to when we can talk again. You know, which is not that easy at the moment, is it? Oh yeah, I'm talking perfect scenario here.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you do have to get over yourself when
yourself.
you do have to get over yourself if somebody has hurt your feelings or something and offended you, and then you don't want to like pray about them in that kind of a way. If you're being touchy, if you have your feelings on your shirt sleeve, so to speak, and you're being all touchy, there's times you really don't want to get over it. You want to stay in your offense or whatever. But you know what? It just basically holds you like a ball and chain, chained to the offense, to the person who hurt you.
Yeah.
And you will feel so much better. I promise you, you will feel so much better when you start to say, "Lord, I worship you over so and so," or the grief, you will heal. I promise you, you will heal faster from the grief of pain of loss. You will feel faster from any kind of offense. It doesn't matter if you lost your beloved pet or your spouse or your whatever. I mean, you're absolutely going to feel the pain of anything, but you heal quicker when you worship God over it. You know, a sibling, it doesn't matter. You heal much faster, and it really does work. I have since I was given this advice, I started giving this advice to anyone who was dealing with any kind of wound, grief, offense, pain, and if they did it, and if they actually started saying, Lord, I worship you over, and named the thing, whatever it was, they would come back to me and they would say, that worked. That worked. And they would testify to me that it worked. Now, if somebody did not do it, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's kind of like not taking a scripture and holding on to it and say, because God said, take my word and remind me of it, you know? And so the Bible literally says God inhabits the praises of his people. So when you say, Lord, I worship you over this, he's coming to inhabit you and your surroundings and all around you, and you will feel lifted up. Now, maybe in a couple of hours or a short time later, you might feel the sting of it again, because that's the enemy coming back to sting you with that. But if you keep repeatedly saying, Lord, I worship you over, and you name it, he does lift you up until then you get healed of it, and you really can tell the difference, and you really can feel the healing, because the next time, all of a sudden, then after a while, you think of it and you're not hurting like that anymore.
And don't feel obligated to grieve. You know, the
For
person,
a long time.
the
I mean, the
person-
Bible says grief is for a season. So what he's saying is,
don't feel like the person that died is going to feel better if you are grieving for them for years. They're not. They don't know.
they're in
that.
heaven in paradise
They're
if they've
loving
accepted
it.
Jesus. So they're not, they
They're
don't
not
want,
expecting you to penance for them.
they don't want, and once they're there, they don't want anybody in pain down here, because they're not feeling any pain.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. They don't feel any sorrow, any nothing.
And I still have to do it over some of the dogs we've lost. You know, I had an episode today where I was near tears because of remembering a dog that I lost years ago.
But it's not a constant thing. It's just like I said.
It just came to me like, oh, are you gonna, and I had a good memory about it, but then all of a sudden, this whoa came over me, and I was.
But the thing of it is the enemy every now and then. The enemy is He's a seasonal thing. So he will bring back something to you
at the time of year you're weak.
In different seasons, and he'll try to test you with that. So yeah, he will bring something back to your memory, and then you might feel the loss of it again for a little bit, but then start saying again, Lord, I worship you over this. I worship you over this, because, sometimes it's like something that is just so strong on you to feel that pain of offense or grief or anything like that. But I promise you, you feel so much better when you just cast it on the Lord and say, I worship you over this.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say hello to Hammocks, to Coasters, and Simply Jan Homestead, and Doreen. They had come in while we were talking, and I don't like to interrupt when he's talking and stuff. So, but we wanted to say hello to you. And it says, Donny, we are the same like that.
We got to see Dolly this past week. And yeah, she was in the parade.
Yeah, that was, we did the live stream and everything. So, but we've been on here. We made it pretty much an hour.
Yep. 59 minutes, and of course that puts us into the next hour, so some of you may want to depart. And
anyway, we want to say, no, we've made it for an hour, so we
love
you.
But remember, Jesus loves you more. So we'll see you next week, Friday night at 9 for mine, Saturdays
and
at 7.
I put the Team Jesus Ministries link in the chat. If you're not connected to Team Jesus Ministries, when he does a live stream on Friday nights at 9 p.m.
Don't forget to you know, hit the bell notification because Joy popped up twice in the last couple of days here at the car show.
Yeah, you do kind of have to have my bell on because you don't know.
Ring her bell. You can ring,
Ring
my
my
bell. Ring my bell. Oh, copyright hit. Nope. That wasn't even
I
close.
don't know. Yeah, it's probably not close.
As a matter of fact, we got advice about copyright hits this week too. That sometimes you can slow down the song, even just 5 or 6%, and avoid a copyright.
If it's not a live stream, you can't do it on a live stream.
Right. When you do.
But yeah, so anyway, thank you. We love you, and hit the subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for hitting the like button.
Mm-hmm.
And sharing out any of our videos. It really does help with the algorithms, and it helps other people to find our channel.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much.
Yep. More painting to come.
Oh, yeah, we'll do another live stream.
Yeah, well, I'll do some more painting, and I'll do the live stream.
Yeah.
Or I'll do a time lapse.
He got complimented by the artists that came in.
The only ones that stopped by today were other painters.
Well, the ones that stopped by the artist table.
Right, the artist table.
The ones that stopped and talked, they were artists, and they were complimenting him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because basically he's really only been painting about 3 months.
No,
No.
November.
No, that was the snowman.
Yeah.
But
so,
that's not
So
really.
that's December, January.
But
February,
that's
and
not
March.
really painting like you're doing now. That, you know,
Well,
even
give me
Brandon said you were shorting yourself by saying
Okay,
you were,
4 months.
you know, about 3 months probably that he was painting
4 months. It was
to
quite
do
a
these
while
other
ago.
paintings. But anyway,
Okay.
love y'all.
They're afraid of our-
Thanks for joining us.
Good night.